Daisy was blind in her left eye. Nobody in the family knew it yet. 2-year-old Ruby didn't know it either. But for 6 months, that blind eye was the only reason Ruby never once stepped foot on the street. Now, before you watch, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss another moving story like this one. Mark and Sarah adopted Daisy from a shelter the year before Ruby was born. A mutt, mostly lab, brown coat, one ear that never quite stood up straight. Calm, easy. The kind of dog that made the whole house feel settled. Nobody noticed anything strange about her eyes. She never bumped into furniture, never missed a thrown ball. If anything, she seemed sharper than most dogs her age. By the time Ruby was walking, Daisy had a habit that made no sense to anyone. Whenever Ruby toddled toward the end of the driveway, where the grass gave way to the asphalt, Daisy would appear out of nowhere and start walking slow circles around her, not blocking her outright, just circling, steady, until Ruby's feet turned back towards the yard on their own. "She does that every single time," Sarah said one afternoon, watching it happen again. "It's like clockwork." Now write yes if you already have a feeling about where this story is going. At first, it was almost funny. Ruby would giggle, thinking it was a game, chasing Daisy in her own little circle before wandering back to the grass. Mark filmed it once on his phone, just for fun. Ruby toddling toward the driveway, Daisy cutting in front of her path, herding her back like a tiny sheep that refused to be lost. But the pattern never broke. Every day, the same invisible line at the edge of the driveway. Daisy would never once let Ruby cross it alone. One Saturday, Mark's sister came to visit with her own dog, a much younger lab who never met a leash law he respected. Watching Daisy work her slow, patient circles around Ruby for the 3rd time that morning, she finally said something. "You know that's a little bit much, right? She's basically herding your kid like livestock. Dogs shouldn't be that controlling. It's not normal, Mark." Mark laughed it off at first. Then, later that day, watching Daisy do it again, something about his sister's words stuck. He caught Daisy by the collar mid-circle. "Enough, girl. Let her walk." Daisy planted her feet, wouldn't move. Ruby was confused. She reached her small hand toward the driveway edge, and for the first time in 6 months, nothing stopped her. Mark stood there, holding the collar, torn, his sister's voice, "It's not normal, it's controlling," still echoing in his head. Then Sarah called Ruby in for lunch, and the moment passed. Nobody thought about it again. Until 3 weeks later, at the vet. Daisy was in for a routine checkup. Nothing urgent, just her usual annual visit. The vet shone a small light into each of her eyes, one after the other, the way she always did. She paused on the left one, shone the light again, frowned slightly. "Has anyone noticed anything off with her eye?" she asked. Mark shook his head. "Not that I've seen. She never bumps into anything." The vet ran a few more tests, quiet and methodical, and then finally sat back. "She's blind in that eye. Has been for a while. I'd guess possibly since before you adopted her. Some sort of old injury or degeneration. Hard to say exactly when." Mark sat there stunned. "She's never acted like anything was wrong. She catches the ball. She never runs into the furniture." "Dogs compensate," the vet said. "Especially smart ones. They learn to angle their good eye toward what matters most." Mark drove home that afternoon, turning it over in his head, but it still didn't fully connect. Not yet. Then came Saturday, 11:40 in the morning. Ruby was playing in the front yard while Mark unloaded groceries from the car, parked halfway up the driveway. Sarah was inside. Daisy was doing her usual slow patrol near the grass. Then A delivery truck came around the curve of the street. Too fast for the quiet neighborhood, engine loud, driver checking an address instead of the road. Ruby was chasing a rolling ball, and she ran straight towards the driveway's edge, toward the street, toward the blind spot for the one dog who'd spent 6 months making sure she never got there. Except this time, Daisy was on Mark's side of the yard, her blind left eye turned toward the exact spot where Ruby was running. For one terrible second, she didn't seem to see it happening at all. Then her head snapped around, not toward the side of it, toward the sound, the engine, the vibration of tires closer than they should be, and she was moving before Mark even opened his mouth to shout. She didn't circle this time. She hit Ruby broadside, full weight, knocking her backward onto the grass, just as the truck roared past the end of the driveway, missing the spot where Ruby had been standing by less than 3 feet. The truck didn't even slow down, just kept going, oblivious. While Mark dropped the grocery bags and ran, Ruby was crying from the fall. More startled than hurt, Daisy stood over her, breathing hard, planted between her and the street like she'd never once looked away. Sarah came running out at the sound of Ruby's cries. Mark scooped Ruby up, checking her over, hands shaking, and it took him a long moment before he could even speak. "She's blind in that eye," he finally said. "The vet found it 3 weeks ago. Her whole blind side was facing the street just now, and she's still..." He stopped, looked down at Daisy. She was still standing exactly where she'd landed after the hit, chest heaving, her good eye locked on Ruby, her blind one turned toward the empty street, like it simply didn't matter to her anymore. Mark knelt down slowly, not in front of anyone, not for show, just to be level with her. He didn't reach for her collar this time. He rested his hand flat against the side of her face, over the blind eye, gentle, like he was trying to understand something with his palm instead of his own eyes. Daisy leaned into his hand just slightly, didn't flinch, didn't pull away. He thought about the collar 3 weeks earlier. Enough, girl, let her walk. He didn't say anything out loud at this time. He didn't need to. Daisy's whole body against his hand said she already knew, the same way she'd always known, quietly, without needing anyone to say it back. Ruby squirmed down from Sarah's arms, walked the 2 unsteady steps across the grass, and pressed her small face against Daisy's neck, right on the blind side, the one place Daisy could never fully see coming. Daisy turned her head just enough to feel her there. "Good girl," Ruby whispered, the same 2 words she said every single day at the edge of the driveway. Daisy closed her eyes. She didn't have to walk the circle anymore today. Do you think Daisy already knew every single day for 6 months exactly what she was protecting Ruby from? Right, yes, if you believe a dog can sense danger even from its blind side. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one and have a great day.